How's it going, Bear? Using only browser for his 32 is tedious. I have is it a Huzzah that I have? I have one of the ESP32s. It's like not an S2 or an S3 or anything. Is there a V2? ESP32 V2? I do have one that's like that as well, though. That's no disk, no USB storage, but I have not done much with it. I think I used it. Initially, I got it to test a specific thing. I don't remember exactly what it was. Let's see here. I think we're almost ready. Anyhow, though, good to see you, my friend. Let's see. What else do I need to do here? Let's pop this. Yeah, I think this utility will be pretty handy as well. I've come to use CircuitPython a lot. Like, CircuitPython definitely grew on me a lot, and I found it really helpful these days. Thanks to Soul Linux over on Twitch. Soul Linux. I didn't notice this at the time, but they followed. So new follower. Appreciate them. I don't know if they will see this or not, but anyhow, thanks to Soul Linux over on Twitch for the follow. Appreciate it, my friend. 5 days ago. Did I stream 5 days ago? I don't think so. Interesting. Maybe they saw one of the VODs or something. Or it's a bot or something. Who knows? Either way. Let's see. Tried to test e-ink feather, but ran into annoying assumed knowledge gaps in my part. I gotcha. E-ink feather. The e-ink feather wing, or is there a built-in one now? If it's like a brand new thing, I have been out for a few days. I haven't seen any of the other shows this week or any of the new products or anything. Took a little short vacation for a couple of days here. Feather wing, I gotcha. I've done a feather wing e-ink. I've hooked up a Raspberry Pi form factor e-ink to a feather. Doesn't necessarily count as featherwing. Okay, I think I've just about got everything all situated here. Sorry, I'm a feather friend. I got you, the one with the little ribbon plug there. Let's see. Sorry, I was also running a couple of minutes. Oops, I can just pop it out from here. Running a couple of minutes late because my computer decided to lock up on me right when I was getting started a few minutes ago. All right. There we go. So good morning. Thanks to anybody who's watching. Welcome. If you are new, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and CircuitPython, on GitHub and Discord. This is a weekly live stream that I do typically at this time, around 10 a.m. Central Time on Saturdays. And on the stream, I'm usually working on stuff related to CircuitPython in some way, form, or fashion. If you don't know what CircuitPython is, you can learn more about it at the main website right here, circuitpython.org. Basically, this is a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. A lot of these devices, the way that they will work is you plug them into your computer with a USB cable, and then it shows up like a thumb drive. On that thumb drive, there's a Python code file that you can edit and save, and then as soon as you save it, the tiny computer that lives inside the chip on this microcontroller will actually notice that you... Sorry, I got distracted by the 500 there. We got the 500th port in, which is pretty cool. That tiny computer in there will notice that you changed the file, and it will read and execute the new version of that file. And that's kind of the typical CircuitPython workflow. These microcontroller devices come in all different shapes and sizes, and they often have what are called kind of I/O pins along the sides, or however they want to arrange them. And the deal is you can hook up these I/O pins to other little bits and bobs, other pieces, electronic components and things like that, sensors, buttons, beepers, lights, pretty much any kind of little doodad that you can imagine that is electronic. you can, typically find a way to hook it up to these microcontrollers. And then in our case, you can use your Python code, your CircuitPython code that is in that file on there to interact with all that other hardware that's connected. So there are 500 different devices right now that support CircuitPython. They're all listed here on the downloads page. One thing that you'll see if you are new or just getting into this is like these things come in all different shapes and sizes. There's big ones, there's small ones, there's ones with lots of I/O pins, there's ones with only a few I/O pins, there's round ones with alligator clips, there's ones with other built-in peripherals like a display and a touchscreen or some Cherry MX keys and a knob. All kinds of different ones of these little gadgets that are, each one has its own little set of built-in capabilities and hardware functionalities and stuff. So, you can kind of base whatever project you're trying to do around these devices. Depending on what you need, you can kind of hunt and find the correct one for you. Well, that's interesting. Speaking of interesting stuff I missed this week. Does it come with a key? Yeah, it must come with a key, right? Tiny key. Interesting. All right, so thanks as always to Adafruit. I'm getting ahead of myself looking at some of the neat toys you can buy there. So Adafruit is hardware and software company based out of New York, and they're the ones who make CircuitPython possible by paying the folks who work on the project. There are a team of people who work on the project full-time and are paid by Adafruit to do so, and there are other folks like me that are paid to work on that project part-time. And Adafruit is the company that's making that possible. So if you want to help support CircuitPython and Adafruit, the easiest way you can do that is just heading over to adafruit.com and purchasing hardware from them. They sell the microcontroller devices like we just talked about, but they also sell all the little bits and pieces that you can connect up with those microcontrollers like we also talked about. And so you can kind of find a little bit of everything if that is your jam. So thanks for anybody who purchases stuff from them, again, because that's keeping this whole thing going. So this is the logging library. We looked at this last week. This is a new submission, a PR that adds rotation capabilities, rotation functionality to the logging library. So previously we had a file handler that would just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and it's kind of up to you if you want to like manage it somehow. This new PR submits a way where you can specify a maximum amount of bytes, and then the file will grow and grow and grow until it gets to that size, and then it will make a backup. Or actually, did we get to the point where you could specify? No, I think we started with just one backup. So it will make a backup, and then it will start you on a new file, and then as soon as you fill up another file to that specified size, it will kind of like rotate it for you, as the name implies. It will move your current one over to be the old one, and it will, at that point, get rid of the old one for real. So we'll take a quick look through here. So this, we tested it last time, but the changes that I requested on this PR we're effectively just trying to kind of remold it a little bit to be the same API as CPython, which has this capability as well. And the way this was initially implemented, it was actually a little bit different API. It was not the exact same as with CPython. And so then this, I believe, should be having some newer commits here, which I think have changed that over. So rotating file handler. So we should be able to even like Python docs rotating file handler. We should be able to kind of go mostly side by side here at this point in terms of like how this behaves and how that behaves. Although we do need to find, it didn't actually come up. Is it not called? So there's file handler. I need to, there's a watched file handler. Base rotating. Is this just not searching? Yeah, it's just not searching. Okay, rotating file handler. There we go. Okay, so now we do have that rotating file handler. It has init, which takes file name, mode, max bytes, and backup count, which match here. File name, mode, max bytes, backup count. Yeah, so it does have backup count, actually. Yeah, nice. Number of old log files. Sweet. And then we also matched the do rollover function name, which is sweet. So having the code like this makes it so that it's kind of just more portable back and forth between CPython and CircuitPython. If you write your project on one or the other, and you utilize this class because we have made it match, it means that that behavior is now going to be the same. You won't have to try to like write an if statement like if it's CircuitPython, then do it this way, or if it's regular Python, then do it this other way. Now you can write the same code, run it in both places, and it works the same, which is super cool. And it's kind of one of the core sort of ideologies of what CircuitPython is trying to do. Sweet. Yeah, this is all looking good to me. I will try it out again, but that is basically exactly what I had in mind. Hug report for I Like Cake. Awesome work, my friend. I don't know if you will see this, but I definitely appreciate your work on this. This is super cool. Let me get logging open. Let's see here. Yeah, coffee cheers. I don't mind now. I'm stuck with QtPy and Feather S3 form factors. Yeah, I've been digging the Feather S3 lately. That's been my go-to for a while. My go-to kind of just random device to use for like any sort of random testing I'm doing or whatever was the Feather S2 TFT. But then more recently, I did pick up an S3 TFT, and that has become my go-to. It's like got a tiny screen, which is not, you can't do a whole lot on the screen, but you can do basic display IO stuff. It's got Wi-Fi, it's got the Feather form factor, and I've got a load of Feather doublers and Feather wings that do all kinds of stuff. It's got the stemma port. I have not used the QtPys as much. I did just have one out the other day testing something though. QtPys are good if you need to pack it into something. They're good for like finished products, finished projects, I should say, that you are really trying to get into like a relatively small case. QtPy is like tough to beat with that regards for sure. This is, yeah, we can just update, I think, here. So I'm getting a little bit. We can, well, it's not gonna let me pull, is it? It's not gonna let me pull. It's not gonna let me pull because it's not actually on a tracked branch or whatever. I'm just gonna go back to main and just rerun this because that's gonna, what? That's gonna update it and put me back on that branch. I probably didn't even have to switch, honestly, but it just feels a little bit better to switch first, to be deliberate. I like to make deliberate actions that have outputs that make it clear what occurred or did not occur. Switching just feels natural, kind of, before you're going to switch back. So we can grab the latest version of this by just copying here. Here's the thing we would be ultimately able... Actually, you know what I could use? Here's what I could use is the... yeah, I'm going to totally do that. We should use the Circup newest functionality, which is local file installs, which is partially where the idea for the next thing I'm going to work on was born out of. So it kind of ties us all together here. Should have Circup install, and then we should just be able to say like the local file here. The tab completion doesn't work. Maybe I don't have the latest version. Let's try pip install Circup upgrade. Who knows? I could have like a dev version or something, I'm sure. Circup /. So I did // which is explicitly meaning this file in the directory I'm in, whereas ordinarily with Circup you would just use the name. We do also need upgrade because I already have it installed and we want to overwrite that one. Yeah, that's nice. Look at that, local path install. Okay. I'm going to get back to here. Do I have... Let's see what is on this. This is on something else, certainly. Yeah. Do I need to keep this? This is like a simple test for the IS 41. No, I think we need to keep that. Now, the next question is, did I keep that file rotation handler one? And if so, what would I have called it? Not looking good. At least not on this device. That's fine. While we're here, let me just grab a random backup of this. Another S3 T 518 24. And then we'll just grab the base, we'll just grab the example from here. Although that is maybe one thing we should have as well as an example. So that's going to be looking at an SD card. Oh, right. This is coming back to me. We use the Memento because it has the SD card built in. So I'm actually going to switch to that. Which, like I was talking about before, I also have feather doublers and feather wings. On my desk at the same time here, I actually do have a SD card feather wing. But the Memento is just a tad easier because it's like you don't have to initialize it or anything as much. Is that true? No, you still have to initialize it. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about there. This one might actually have, we should just close this. I want to get, so... Doesn't feel like it noticed that these changed. Here we go. We want a load file system. There we go. Okay, here we go. So that one's writing into test log, and it does just initialize the SD right into there, and then unmount. Well, this is actually just reading the log back. Interesting. Is web workflow not working for me? Maybe I just wanted to do it differently? I'm not sure. That feels weird though, right? Why would I not just look in the web workflow? We could potentially look back at the stream. I'm sure there was something that I was going on, or maybe web workflow is not working or unavailable for some reason. I will say it's harder to break out of the, because once you break into the REPL, then you can't see your SD card anymore. That's probably what it is, because I am closing and unmounting here. Or did it? No, actually it does not actually have unmount. Maybe we were running into the trouble where when you don't unmount, it's like, sometimes it causes issues. I've seen that. Okay. So just as a baseline, is this... All right, one second, I need to check settings. What I really want to know is, did this thing fire up web workflow? .20. All right, wait. Oh, right, because I'm in the... And I didn't actually save. Looks like I can't save, actually. Looks like probably mounted as read-only. So that time I actually thought it would work. I can't change this here. There we go. Why did that download instead of just like open up the page? I don't have any other text files in here. If it was a .text file, would it do that? I don't know. Interesting. My project is create a battery-powered environment sensor with an e-ink display, but also reports back to a service. I gotcha. Use your new tool, the folder thingy. So the folder thing, well, I will admit also I spaced out on the chat. I'm not sure exactly where I was at when you said that. If you mean the newest one, the wireless workflow one, it does not actually have the capability yet. The only command it has right now is list. But you might have also meant the circup thing, which occurs to me as kind of after I started saying it, in which case I did eventually make it there, even though I didn't see the chat until now. Okay, so we're at 616 bytes right now, which is nothing, basically. So in order to actually be testing the rotation one, we are going to need a lot more data to be going into the log. What is the way we want to do that, though? I guess we could just kind of for loop it. We could also kind of... rotation or rotating? I actually remember the name of it. Rotating, right? There's base rotating, a rotating file. Wrong place. I shouldn't be editing this here anyway, because I can't save it. Circuit, gotcha, nice. Yeah, that's my guess is it's a, whatever the MIME type is, for some reason the browser is like download instead of show, which definitely could be .log. If we switched it to text, actually let me try it with text, right? That will make a new one anyway, which is kind of nice. As I go right back to changing it in here, where I know it's not going to work. Nice. I don't know. Let's start with just random 10. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, we can't tab at all. That's a little tough. go something like I and then how do you get the ASCII character from an int? Like okay, and then it's also you can do like ORD to go the other way. So I would like to say I plus the ordinal of shouty A and then take that and put it back to a character. So we're going to count through the alphabet basically. And then I want to multiply that whole string by like 100. Control D does not duplicate. Nice, thank you. Rotating. My copy fail, or is it named somehow different? Oh. So it's in read-only mode. Or did I do this on the feather, I think, before I switched to the memento? So that's not going to work, though, because it's in read-only mode. There we go. So we go, it's file name, max bytes. I'm just going to say like a N24 for now. And then it was what? The number of files, which is called the backup count. It's kind of weird. Those are camel case. I'm just going to do one, which is probably the default. Let me just try without. Didn't crash. Camel case works on Python. Works on Python. Works on Python. I'm not sure what you mean necessarily. The reason that I am surprised by it being camel case is just because I thought the naming convention with Python was underscores. Slugging code is from the early days of Python. Oh, I see. Okay, and then they're kind of like, I could see the case like if it started like that and there's a bunch of code out there, not changing it. Definitely makes sense. It's not that big a deal one way or another. Nice. Okay, but one thing is that's reporting as 2.4 kilobytes. Is that actually what it is? Is there a download? Is this download right here? Oh. Oh, the icon matches kind of the MIME type, roughly speaking, and the down is saying download. And then for the images, the browser, I don't think downloads, but instead shows the image, so it's also a little bit weird there. So the short answer is no, there's not really a download other than just do this. Is that actually 2.4K? $2,430 bytes. So if I just run it again, will we get the new file? I was expecting to get the new file there. But maybe... just want to run it again, so I'll just go to here. Yeah, now it's just 4.9K. Did it not change to rotating? Refresh this. Am I misunderstanding max bytes? I wonder if the code has a bug about when it checks for size rotation. Yeah, it could be. Let's see. This, let me make sure I do understand. Like, I'm assuming max bytes is when it gets to that. That's when it should roll. When it's about to be exceeded. Oh. Okay, backup count defaults to 0, and if either are 0, then rollover never occurs. So, like, in my opinion, 1 is a better default for backup count. But it's not what it is. It's what I assumed it was without actually checking. And then I need to rerun it. I have auto refresh, auto reload turned off. There we go. Yeah. Interestingly, it also truncated, which is interesting. Because that file was up to like 4 or 5K, but it did cut it back to 1.1 when it rotated. And so we're writing how much at a time? We ended up with 2.4, we ended up with 243 bytes. We ended up with only the J's in there. And this one, oh, that one's a .1, which changed the extension. We ended up with E, F, G, H, I. Only half of E, though. We could kind of be deliberate about the number of things we're writing into here. But I don't know. My spirit is with guess and check, although in this case we're not really checking anything, but I'm still guessing a size that kind of gets us to there. So yeah, we ended up with basically, we wrapped and got both I and J that time. Okay, and in this case, we're actually writing so much that we are losing the first bits of our stuff. Let's see, how big do we need to go? What if I just did like a ×4? That should be big enough. be able to see the whole thing. Yeah. Test log refresh. There we go. So we got the old, so we got the end of the old run, and then here's where we started the new run, and that put us at 2.9K. So if we go once more, we should be just a tad under, I think, or do we go over? We must have gone over and wrapped, yeah. And then let's make sure that a backup count of more than 1 works. And as long as that's the case, I think this is pretty much looking good to me. Been a long time since I had yeah. That is one of the interesting things about microcontrollers is like, you get, I don't know, complacent's not necessarily the right word, but yeah, with like regular development for stuff on a PC, everyday stuff that I do day in and day out for work, I basically never really consider file size, even honestly, like RAM and CPU usage, and like resources are effectively infinite for the kinds of stuff I work on. But microcontrollers are like definitely a constrained environment. You gotta be, not every time, all the time, depending on your microcontroller. We're starting to get up there to where it's like you actually do have a lot of headroom, but 0.7, so we need, I think, just one more. Should get us up to a .4. I think so, and then backup count 4 means that it will go to a .4, and then now, instead of .5, it will flush out the oldest one. 3.4. So right now, the very, very end of text .4 is these 1132s that end on E. 1132s that end on E. Now we got 1199s ending on B. So we got everything from 1232. Well, yeah, so basically the stuff that was at the end of the file is now actually at the beginning of the file. Oh, that's nice that it rotates by line, basically. Interesting. So you get, like, chronologically kept up. I was expecting it to rotate by blocks of whatever your max bytes is, so like you might not get individual lines that technically would have fit. But it doesn't appear to be that's the case. It appears to be more to me like it's rotating by line now. Yep. Won't break a log. Oh, I got you. Yeah, I hadn't even considered the long line case. Okay. They asked about docs. Although it did pass here. So writable stream probably comes from CircuitPython typing. That's my guess, right? Is that at git grep -n writable stream? I spelled it wrong, I'm sure. Yeah, EA. How's it going, Ibad Hussein over on Twitch? Oh. Wait, what? Oh, I'm totally backwards, by the way. That's on YouTube, not Twitch. My bad. Ibad Hussein is on the YouTube chat. As well as the question from before about the camel case stuff. That's super weird because it's defined in this file. I was assuming that was going to be like in CircuitPython typing. So for that to not exist, then one of these two would have to fail. And my only guess is somehow that Python 3.12 could have maybe changed one of these things, I guess? Because we have this in import error, but like the intention of this try except is like this will fail on the microcontroller, and then therefore the rest of this stuff will not happen. Which, when it runs on the microcontroller, that's what we want. But when the docks are being built, it's not on the microcontroller, it's on the PC. Yeah, I don't know. Is anybody who's watching happen to be on Python 3.12? If so, would you be interested in helping out by throwing these things in a REPL and see if it will just crash? If anyone who's watching happens to be in that situation with Python 3.12 and willing to give that a try, if you want me to copy paste it into one of the chats, let me know, and I'll totally do that. So let me know which one. Otherwise, I don't have a super duper easy way to check it right now because my Python is 3.10 and I don't think I can very easily just get 3.12. Probably the easiest way for me to get 3.12 is inside Docker, which I could maybe do, but I also don't have that set up, and I don't want to accidentally turn this into a Tim Plays with Docker stream. Oh, let me take the tabby out there. That's my best guess. It's got to be, right? And then inside the container, when it builds in here, it succeeded, and that was Python what? I think this is 3.11. Set up Python v5. Python, yeah, 3.11. Interesting. But yeah, one of these days before too long, I'll be going up to 3.12. So 3.11 succeeds, but 3.12, it fails on typing extensions. Okay. Thank you. So I will at least know what to tell I Like Cake here. So I Like Cake. Let me do this as a approve, because we did check it out and it is looking good to me. Let me rerun the stock. Let me just rerun the stock one more time. I cannot imagine this having any difference, but let me do this also. Rotating file handler logging. Can't do that. Can you rename in here? Yeah. Maybe. Happened. Nothing happened. Oh, okay. Code rotating file logging. Also, let's turn that off because I think I don't need that part anymore. Do I have my day job being CI/CD? The tools that I live in Python. Nice. You probably do have either the Docker or some kind of separate environment container or something set up, ready to go. I should try that. I'm sure it's probably easier. I'm sure it's probably pretty easy to do inside Docker. Got a couple, but not Python one specifically. And I'm still not quite to the point where I would not have to like look it up to figure out how to make it. But it is probably not too bad, I'm imagining. I'm going to change the name of the file only. Have to change the pins too. I don't know why I'm editing this here. Apparently I was editing it in both places, so I guess that's better. I am going to go back and add this again because without that, it's going to be harder to check if it succeeded, which is why I guess I had the other one there. Okay, I am caught back up to past him on that, I think. But this time we'll go a different route. This was really fast a few times. Is it broken this time? At 404. Well, thought it was going to be easier. Why am I suddenly just 404 on the SD directory? It's not unmounting. It's not crashing, so it kind of seems like it worked. Definitely not mounted right now, though. But I mean, I'm in the REPL. This is sure a lot of stuff for verifying that it's gonna still work the exact same as I expect it to, but gotta make sure that it does actually. Yeah, and so that's on level info. Which I think means that we don't get to see the debug one. This is weird to me. I don't get why this is not working all of a sudden. But that's like always 404 now. I wonder if there's like a size limit. That's the only thing I can think of. Like, because clearly the SD card is there. It's connected. It has files in it. We're not even seeing the placeholder. So, like, it's not like it's just not mounted. Podman with so many containers. I need to try out Podman. I've read a few times that that's a nice alternative to the Docker Desktop GUI. Yeah, this is something to look into later. I feel like we kind of maybe hit like a file limit or something. Like we hit a limit where we have so many files that it's like failing to fetch this now. That's like my best guess. I'm not even that confident in that guess, really. 'Cause it's failing so fast, too. It's not like it's timing out or anything. It's just... I don't understand that. Lib directory works. So, like, directories, generally speaking, are okay. Just the SD one. It's now always 404 when it tries to hit the JSON endpoint to get the files, right? Like this is what it's trying to get back. But instead it's empty. It's weird that it fails so fast too for a it feels like it could be a timeout thing, but then the fact that it just fails so fast is baffling. Maybe it ran out of RAM. I mean, it has so much RAM though, right? So it probably shouldn't run out of RAM, I wouldn't think. Maybe it could. Maybe it could have though. Maybe it ran out of RAM, like trying to generate the HTML page. I don't know. That's something to look into. But for now, we did manage to get to this file. So debugs. Oh man, that's long gone. That's a bummer. Can I undo? Nope. Yeah, I wrote some stuff back there, but it's... oh no, unfortunately. Unless I put it, no, this is actions. All right, make a quick release here. Gonna go 5.3.0 because that's new functionality, new API. Right, rotating file handler, new class that didn't used to exist. Okay. All right, now where are we at here? So one thing that would still be good is thinking about where I don't know the name of this. I don't know the name of this issue or the number off the top of my head. Client host. Say host app or something. Host-based app. What is this? 9121. I should try 121. So one part of the discussion is like where do the lines fall in terms of like Circup versus this new tool versus a potentially another new utility, I'll call it, or library module. One thing, so far what I've done is I basically just copied backends and I cut a bunch of stuff that was not used by the file management utility out of it. But based on the discussion that is here, it'd be nice if all workflows could be supported by a single library, which would then be used by Circup as well as the new program. Which that has got me thinking maybe, let me open up Circup too. That has got me thinking instead of what I've done here, which is copy paste backends and cut out the parts that aren't needed for the file management, instead of that, I'm now leaning towards basically backends, all of it from Circup, getting moved into another module. Circup importing it from that other module, and then the wireless workflow file management CLI also importing it from that other module. Creating an ad hoc API that web workflow would have to allow for CRUD activity to the host file system. Creating an ad hoc API. Web workflow would have to allow for CRUD activity to the host file system. I'm not sure I follow. I'm not necessarily creating an API. I mean, I suppose I'm creating a command line API, but that command line API is ultimately utilizing the web workflow API, which already does have all the CRUD, like HTTP request API is exposed that does all of this. Just right now, the only front end for it, well, the only two front ends for it really are the web editor, like code.circuitpython.org or whatever, and then the simplified one that I was using back here. And then Circup, you could count as a front end for it a little bit at this point, specifically for loading libraries and examples. Whereas this new thing will also be a different front end for it that is more general to just copying files back and forth, not necessarily only libraries or examples, but any files arbitrarily. I do think I want to not necessarily worry about breaking up the backends for now. I'm happy to have I've been kind of ruminating on it in the back of my brain a little bit, and so it's like good to check back and look in and think a bit about it. And I do think that that is kind of the way that I lean right now, is take all of backends, put that in its own separate repo, and anything else it needs, which might be like possibly anything in shared, I think, gets called from a backend too. So possibly that would need to live over in the backends one and then get imported from there as well. But I don't think that CircuitPython backends is probably not the right name for it, I don't think, because within the context of the circup code, which is where the backend's name comes from, it's talking about the backend of the device, the specific device, whether it's HTTP API, which is a more traditional type of backend thing that you would think of, or the disk workflow, just copying files, is a programmatic representation of that. Once it lives in its own library, though, I don't think CircuitPython backends is the best name, because it implies that it would be a server. Like, it implies that it would be like, you know, maybe circuitpython.org backend or something, right? It implies that it would be a server that does something in the backend, which it's not really. It's a importable library that lets you access different workflows. So I'm thinking maybe like connector or like CircuitPython integration, maybe as a library name. Could even potentially maybe not call it backends, the file inside of there, but definitely the library I don't think makes sense to call it backends. I don't know. Food for thought, but I do want to just try to hammer out a couple more commands instead of worrying as much about the specific refactoring. Because I feel like these commands, once they exist, they can be shuffled around easily with that kind of refactoring. And so right now, the only one I have actually worked on is ls. I do still have some copy paste, like this still exists. It's just I haven't deleted it. It's not really meant to be part of this. You know, same for this. This is not. I just copy pasted from circup, so all this stuff is still here, but eventually will get cut out. I have kept it for now because I'm sometimes copy pasting stuff out of them. Bundle we could definitely get rid of. We're definitely doing no bundle stuff. It's an easy. Oh wait, I'm in circup. My bad. But I didn't just start deleting, huh? Okay. Okay, we don't have all of those, but I didn't just delete those. So ls is the only one I've done so far. What did I end up calling this thing? Okay, so the way it works right now is you just have to run this circfile.entry. You know, there's a lot of naming stuff to be done here. Like I called it circfile for a minute. It's not actually hooked up to have a pyproject.toml or a setup.py, so I can't do like an entry point like circup does, basically. So in order to run it during testing, I'm just doing Python, you know, entry py effectively. Okay. And I will say one thing that I did, but have reflected upon for a few days in the back of my head and wonder if it was the right choice, was I actually added some sorting. Because, like, by default, when you look at this here, your folders are at the top, sorted alphabetically, and then your files are below that, sorted alphabetically. Which is actually the same here as well. So that actually makes me think that I did probably choose right. So the thing is, like, ls, which this command is kind of loosely modeled after, does not do that. I don't really have any files in, oh, there's one file. Conveniently, one file that starts with a number as well. So ls by default goes completely alphabetically. So one question is, should this ls command inside this utility, should it default to the exact same behavior as the Linux ls command, or should it default to like this, which is, I'm thinking this actually. Even though it's called ls and it feels a little awkward to make it function differently, I think there's value in matching this and this. Is there a flag to ls? ls sort directories first? There must be a flag for that, right? Wow. No? Apparently the answer is no. Or group directories first. Unclear to me if that means that exists or not. It does. And it works. Okay. So I can see the case for match that. So make it so that you have to pass that flag if you want it to work like that. I can see the case for it, but I think I still fall on the side of default to directories first when you don't pass the flag. And I think that's kind of how I think right now, at least. I could maybe be convinced otherwise, but man page? Yeah, I didn't check the man page. I probably would have found the flag quicker if I had. I need to get better at looking there, but I tend to hit the old Google man page before anything else usually. It's a bad habit, but users are existing in the web workflow realm, so having those defaults carry over makes sense, yeah. Okay. All right, and then does this, so I don't even remember for sure if I say like lib, does that work? No. So let's try to make that work. Right now, so that's interesting. So lib definitely came through, but backend.lister file, this didn't work. It seems like, oh yeah, there you go. It's unused. That'll do it, huh? So we need to say, we need to be adding, I don't like URL join. I wish you could pass, I wish I could do a comma here and pass another thing or like a list. We found this out last time though, you can't because it truncates. You only get the base and then one of whatever you add to it. If you add like 3 things to it, then the first and second just disappear. I think I was trying to chain calls to URL join. Means I have to put it here, but I don't. It's kind of technically not really correct to put it here if it wasn't passed. So we're going to end up with this gnarly, like, dir path if dir path else nothing. But then the next thing is, I don't, so like technically I think there should be a slash here. Let's try it, I guess. Just print that out. See if we got anything. Oops. I closed that. Totally didn't mean to. Now that's not exported anymore. .join. Could use .join. I'm actually printing content. Maybe it's not, maybe it's like plain text or something. Empty. I'm pretty sure it needs a slash. So if I tried lib slash, then it works. But we also got to consider, like, if it's going to be like a, well, but then it would have the star, I guess. I was going to say, is it going to be like a searching thing as well? So maybe that's correct, that you should have to put that. Maybe it's correct that you should have to put that slash, and then we could also, if we wanted to, you could support something like this, lslib star, and then this would find, in our case, the lib directory, and then it could also find any files that start with lib, which is kind of an impractical example. I don't know why you'd have that, but the point being that you could use the star to, like, kind of search for files as well. Maybe let's not get too, sometimes my eyes get bigger than they need to be. Let's try to get the basics working first. And I think for now I'm just going to leave it with requiring the slash, because that's, well, it does not match though, right? Because it doesn't match because with ls it would find it. Yeah. Directory's content, not the directory itself. Right, which I think is true. I agree with that in terms of like how it's intended to work with the slashes and stuff, but in practice on the web workflow, the former, the one without the trailing slash, just doesn't work. That's what gave us the 404 with the empty bytes. Now then in the CLI, we could have it to where it will do some kind of matching and also hit the root and then try to give you which files actually do match. That's like a thing that could potentially exist, but I don't necessarily want to start with it. I think for now, let's just add the slash if they didn't. That's kind of a kludge, but let's just say like if file dot ends with slash not. Let's tack it on there. So with the slash should still work, and then without a slash should now work as well. Do the same thing. Good version 2, yeah. Okay. So I think download seems inherently slightly easier than upload. So I'm going to download first. I don't think this needs a location. Well, yeah, I guess the local location on the host. Yeah, I suppose so. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So that will be get, and then let's just start nice and easy with print these things out. Oops. Just make sure that part works. So let's say we wanted to download bootout.txt. Okay, and we got a location of none, which would basically mean... So I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure this stuff is wrong, actually. This should be 1. I didn't know what this meant, and I was just putting numbers in there, and it didn't crash, so I left it. But I have since learned that that's the number of arguments you're expecting. So, like, if the user was allowed to pass 2 locations, that's what that's meant for, actually. Which in our case, they're not really, although they kind of... Depends on how you describe it. We're passing 1 location on the device, and we're passing 1 location on the host. We're downloading the file that exists on the device to the location on the host. But that inargs2 would mean that location on the host is actually expecting or allowing at least 2 things, which it's not. But yeah, I didn't know. There's probably a few more of those. Like there's a -1 here, which I'm not sure that should be that way. Maybe that should be a -1 if anything too. Maybe if you wanted to allow multiple files at once, but I don't know if I do really. I think I want to definitely just start with 1. I think I can put a default here. Sorry, I'm busy yapping a bit. I think I can put a default here to dot. Does that actually work? Yeah, nice. Okay. So then if you don't, should it be a ./? Well, no. Honestly, I don't even think we need the default. I think we just leave it as none. And then I think the rest of our code, if we don't specify it, then it will default to ./. And the reason I hesitate to actually hard code the ./ is Windows uses the other slashes. So then I would need path separator, and I just don't know that it's necessary. How's it going? Gordy G as well over there on the YouTube chat says I like folders first as well. So thanks for the feedback on that. Appreciate it. Let me pull up the web workflow docs. So I'm pretty sure we just need to send a GET request to the file, and then it should reply back. Yeah. We'll need to check this and write by bytes if we get this one, I think. But I'm going to start with text first. And that is just /fs and then /file name, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just going to put location here. Eventually, I'll add logic, so if it's none, it doesn't print it out. But or maybe that's where we'll print the dot. No, we don't need to do the ./. We'll just say we'll leave it out if it's not there. But for now, I'm not going to worry about it. So echo running get file location. I'm going to copy paste our backend here, even though it's kind of a little bit lazy. Actually, I don't even know. Is there a download? I don't actually think there's a download yet. Lister, get free space, is device file exists, update in uninstall copy. So there's copy file, target file. But this is going, so it's not documented for one thing. This is going isdir target file os.path. So that's taking target file from the host, copying it into the CircuitPython device. Okay, so there is no download right now, or like, should I call it get? Or should I call it download? So in the command line tool, I think I'm going to use get. Arguably, this should have a different name. I think I'm going to say, I'm going to rename this. Yeah, I'm going to rename this actually to upload file. Get as in REST API. Not specifically, although coincidentally it is also making use of that kind of get also. So I'm imagining get as in like, you'll run this command line tool and then your command here will be get. So like with circup, we have those commands like install or example or uninstall or all the different ones there are. With this tool, I'm imagining, so ls we looked at before, get will be downloading a file from the device to the computer, and then put will be the opposite. So put will be uploading from the computer to the device, which is what this function does for us. And then I think there's one or two others, but I'm drawing a blank on them. It's in the comment on the issue 9121 on the core repo. Download file. I'm gonna call these the same, even though they are kind of opposite ways, right? You're going to be pedantic using REST verbs, then put and post are necessary. I don't necessarily want to be pedantic. I just like get and put as the ideas of download and upload. They're not even meant to be, they coincidentally mirror the HTTP verbs, basically. They weren't, it was not my consideration to match that. More so, I want to say, actually, I'm pretty sure that's what Ampy uses, right? I think that's where I got those. Yeah. I stole my list from here, basically. So I guess I shouldn't make a claim about whether they initially were meant for that or not, but in my usage of them, they were just taken from there. While they do coincidentally match up HTTP verbs, it was not. And we're using a web workflow, so we're using those HTTP requests as well to add an extra layer of sort of coincidence or whatever. But so one question is, do we want to use requests, or isn't there like URL lib? Isn't there an easier way to download files? Is the request way better somehow? So for one thing, I guess we do have requests set up with our session. URL lib retrieve. Yeah, I think I should probably just use requests. It's not a large file. I mean, I guess it could be, but it can't be that large because it's only got the microcontroller's worth. So it's basically just send a GET request and then write the response into the file. Honestly, we could just always use bytes, right? Is that wrong? Do we actually need to worry about that content type? This should just be self. I need to go through and change all of those. I'm slowly changing them as I find them, but there's obviously a bunch more. So one thing that this should have, which it doesn't yet, I don't think, is a... Oh, it does. Never mind. Does it? I mean, it doesn't really, though, because... Okay. I think what I want is... device location... So that's going to be fs URL, but then we're also going to be adding... See, but that's not going to work. This is where that this is where that join wrecks us. That will have the trailing slash, and then we just need the file. So that's target file. Should use timeout. Timeout. We also need auth. We need to get the file name. I would imagine that's how HTTP servers configured if you need to enforce content type for non-text. Of course, it's easier for small reasons, especially if you want a session socket pool. Yeah, the sessions was the thing that pushed me over the edge. I know it's like a basic auth session, so it'd be pretty easy probably with URL lib, but it's nice to just keep everything. In this case, it'll be nice. A timeout as well. It just makes it so this is all the exact same, which is nice. I do usually, when I'm not using requests already, though, I do usually opt for that URL lib one, or whatever the Python 3 one is, URL retrieve, I think it said. So I need to get the file name from this, which we could just say target file, but the problem with that is that they could pass a folder, right? It could be like lib slash whatever. but I need to make sure. Okay. So we're going to split on slash. We're going to take the last one, which will be the file name at the end. Then I'm going to open that. So with open file name. And this is going to be the, whoops, if location to paste is none, then we're just going to go open file name. I'm going to try like this. If I just say write, no, we want write bytes though. WB as f, we just go f.write r.content. Is that going to be a string? Encode it if we have to, I guess. Or decode it, I don't remember which way is what. Right, so f.close will happen. Downloaded file. I'll just put file name, but eventually we'll also include location to paste in that. Okay, so we're gonna go backends dot call our new function. Doesn't return anything. Download file. Oh. I think I need to say this. Yeah. Alright, also I gotta run to the restroom, so I'll be right back. Missing one location, so we didn't pass it. Alright, I can fix it. Okay. Yeah. I guess we need to just do this, and even if it's none, then it will at least get passed. I thought it would default to that. Guess that's a JavaScript thing? Alright, there we go. So that worked. That was a text file, but we wrote it as bytes. It does, at this point in time, have some of these things going on in it. I think that might be fixed in one of the newer ones. But that seems to have worked. I'm going to delete it. Let's get a different one, like code.py. Nice. I'm not even sure if I have anything. We do heart frame. Copy it. Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything else. That's not going to work. I'm going to say, all right, let's try like, I'm going to make a new folder here. Download dir. Download dir. And we're going to try to get that working. I do have to leave here in just a few minutes, about 10 minutes. I'll be heading out. To test this, you'll need to have ASCII text, Unicode text, and then images. So somebody else will potentially need to test the Unicode text one, but I did do images and ASCII. And I do welcome any and all testing from anyone who's interested in testing, for sure. I think, is this in a Git repo? I think, yeah, it's in a repo as well, but it's not like an official... Not like an official one. You can't use pip or anything like that. You still have to run it with circfile entry. Circfile, I don't think, is going to be the final name for it. So there's like very, 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 very pre-alpha, but it is out there. And I'm totally down for anybody interested in kicking the tires. So yeah, if location, so we need to basically, if location to paste is, I mean, we can just do else, obviously, right? Else, we're gonna have kind of the same thing, but the difference will be we go and say os.path.join location to paste file name. And then I guess we would put it here as well, maybe. That might be all it needs. Nice. Okay, let me also try, like... Yeah. Yeah, nice. Beat that, so there's not just a random one there. All right, cool. That's working. I do not know what the repo is called off the top of my head. Yeah. CircuitPython workflow CLI placeholder repo. Okay, yeah. As you can tell, I was not committed on the name yet, but if anyone who's watching is interested, definitely feel free to play around with it. Right now, list and git are the two that are working. Probably put is what I'll do next, because put is pretty much the opposite of git. And the reason why put should be super duper easy to implement is we already have backend.upload file, which we renamed earlier from, used to be called a copy file. I'm inside Circuit. This upload file right here is pretty much the backend implementation of the put command line subcommand. So that should be just as easy as like taking whatever we got, passing them into that, and we're done. Which is pretty much what we did here as well. But for fear of it not actually ending up being that easy, I don't want to actually try it. Because if I do start, it turns out it's not that easy, then my brain will just really, really, really want to solve the problem. But I got to get going because I got a keyboard meetup that I'm heading to this afternoon with my wife. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. I think I'll wrap it up there because this is a good resting point. I don't want to get into anything and then not be able to actually solve it and be stuck thinking about it. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for thanks to Bear in the chat for all of your help and tips and things. And the Gordy G as well over in the other chat, both of you two, for the kind of like confirmations on how you think it should go with the listing there. Appreciate the input. I'll be back at the normal time next week for sure, Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Central Time. I may pop on some other time. We'll see how it goes tomorrow and Monday. Those are kind of the most likely times for me to pop on, but I do occasionally pop up on a weeknight evening as well. So if you're interested in seeing more content like this Saturday mornings at 10 a.m., you can come here and see it, usually every week. Or if you want to follow me over on Twitch or subscribe on YouTube, then you'll and turn on notifications, of course, and then you can get the notifications if I do pop in at other times. Yeah, I think that's all there is. So yeah, thanks for watching, and hope everyone has a good rest of your weekend and all that stuff. I'll catch you next time.